All right, let's get into it. Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. If you are here, we are so excited about live number four for our April live series. Let's oh, sorry. We all over the place. We're all over the place here today, honey. Just trying to make sure the sounds are off on all of the other things. That I totally forgot that I was on the other pages. Just ensuring that we were live. Okay. All right. So we are muted in all the other spaces. Good deal. Good deal. Good deal. We're muted in all the other spaces. All right, you guys, I'm so excited to be with you all on today. If you're on Instagram and you can't see me, I have no idea what just happened. That is really weird. So let's go ahead and end that live video because I don't know what just happened there. But with that being said, if you're on Instagram and you are watching from there, head on over to YouTube or our Cultivated Connections Design and Consulting Facebook page. Sorry, mine went blank there. Or LinkedIn. We're live on all of the spaces. So again, don't know what's happening with Instagram. We just totally like blanked off this go round. All right, y'all. So without further ado, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Tangeray Porter, and I'm the founder and creative consultant of Cultivated Connections Design and Consulting. And here at Cultivated Connections Design and Consulting, myself and my team, we help arts educators transform their classrooms into care-centered, yep, you heard it correctly, care-centered and literacy-infused spaces. We do this through arts integration, creative leadership, and cultural responsive teaching, which pretty much centers what we've been talking about all April of just how to create care-centered classrooms with a sprinkle of like how do we use literacy to also celebrate class, not classroom culture personally, but or per se, but cultivate community and culture in our classroom by celebrating the students that are there, right? So without further ado, we're going to jump right in. So today's topic, and you probably have seen this beautiful flyer because you know your girl loves her some Canva, baby. But today's topic is the unseen curriculum, culture, care, and collective joy. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, especially from the lens of the end of the school year. Like definitely we will continue to talk about this throughout the school years, as time goes on and summer passes and back to school time picks back up. We definitely will bring this conversation back, but I kind of want to talk about it from this perspective. We're at the end of the school year, right? And we tired. Like it's that time of year and we are tired. Everybody's talking about finishing strong. Final shows are happening, final projects are happening, final grades are happening. No matter where you are, whether you are in K-12, the K-12 space, or whether you are in collegiate, everybody's pretty much doing the same thing right now. Final shows, final projects, midterms, tests, exams, all the things are happening between April and May. Like I think I've shared that these past 2 weeks have been state testing for my school personally, and I do still teach in an elementary space. And as a proctor, your girl is tired. Okay, your girl is tired. So I know if I feel this way and I'm not the student that's in the chair learning and taking these tests, I'm only proctoring, which is a whole thing within itself, that they have to feel tired as well. So we know that all these final things are important, right? They are very important, but I want us to talk about the curriculum our students are taking in. So the unseen curriculum that our students are taking in that we can't grade, that we still need to be fostering right now. We want them to, even in the midst of all this moving and ebbing and flowing right now, that they still feel like they matter, especially in the art space. Because for the most part, well, most arts spaces are not graded spaces. It depends on the level that you teach in your district. And most art spaces are not, well, not most, none of arts curriculum is a tested subject. So while the students are doing all the things in the other classrooms, how can we still ensure that we are believing that they and their story matters, giving them time to laugh and feel like they belong and still mess up, especially if you're teaching in the K-12 sector. Especially if you're teaching the K-12 sector. Like, our children are so stressed out right now. And I won't even say K-12, it's everybody, but I'm in the K-12 sector, so that's the lens that I'm going to speak from. They're so stressed out about whether they're going to get the answer on the test right and all that jazz, right? This spirit of perfection, and they're scared to mess up. They're scared to go out of the line on the bubbles on the Scantron, and just doing things. And our spaces, our art spaces, should be these spaces of safety, of belonging, of being okay with messing up. Okay. But we have to cultivate that, right? And so, again, we know it's at the end of the year. This still matters, even though we are closing out. This still matters. I'm a firm believer that classroom culture, student belonging, community, collective joy, care should still be centered more now than ever. All right. So before we continue, like, I really want to touch on, especially the title of this, live. What is the unseen curriculum, right? We know that we have this curriculum that we have to teach, but then there's this invisible curriculum, if you will, that happens every day when students show up in your classroom or in your studio or whatever space that it is that you teach. So the unseen curriculum is the emotional, the cultural, and relational memories students carry with them every day that they step into your learning space. Again, this is not just for the K-12 spaces. This is for the collegiate spaces. This is for the studios. This is for the boys and girls clubs and all of those things. If you are in front of students, no matter the age, you have to also ensure that the unseen curriculum is still happening, because that is the emotional, cultural, relational memory that these humans are going to carry with them every single day. Even if you're in a corporate space, what are you ensuring that your clients or your employees, what memory are they, going to be able to take with them as they are navigating through life and through your spaces of all kinds, okay? So, but, again, we're talking from the educator space. I just had to throw that in because I think people forget that there are curriculums and cultures across all sectors of life, whether it's a job or you're here as a student. So it's easy to hold on to culture and care tight in August, if we're speaking from the educator realm, when the year feels fresh, like we are like, this is the procedure, this is what we're doing, all of that. But the real test is, can we still protect it when everybody's tired, when everybody's stressed, when everybody's checked out and just like straight up ready for summer? Can we still protect this sense of culture, emotions, relationships, when everybody is just ready to say, peace out, I'm ready to go? Yep, I said ready, R-E-T, ready to go. Because how we close, anything that we're doing matters, all right? The energy we end up, using, it shapes what students believe that is possible for next time. So we have to ensure that we're being careful. I've been reading some things, some beautiful things, and y'all don't fight me. But I just recently started reading Bell Hooks. I do know who she is. I always know who she was, but I had never dug into her work. And one of the quotes that has been shooting out in me recently, especially as I've been navigating these live series and just really regrounding myself in what this work looks like, what I want this work to look like, no matter who I'm standing in front of, is that this quote says, the classroom remains the most radical space of possibility. I'm going to repeat that. If you haven't heard this quote, I need you to, seal it in your chest. Bell Hooks says the classroom remains the most radical space of possibility, and that is any classroom. We can create possibility anywhere we are educating others, right? So sit with that and meditate on that and use that as you are continuing to end out the school year, no matter where it is that where you are. Okay. So let's get into the rest of this live here. Culture, care, and collective joy. So first of all, what is culture? Culture is what lives in the room. It's what lives in this space. And we can talk about it from a lens of classroom culture or actual culture of the students that are in front of you, okay? Culture isn't just built in the first few weeks of school, periods. It is to be maintained every single day, especially at the end. We tend to loosen up and not keep the beauty of what we've built still going at the end, okay? When structures loosen and routines get messy, culture holds the space together, okay? Culture holds the space together. And at the end of the year, students are literally asking themselves, maybe, possibly, did I still belong when things got busy and chaotic? Because when at the end of the school year, we're all like, oh my gosh, do this, do this. Our patience is gone as educators. So what we probably dealt with students' behavior in September, by April, you're probably getting fed up. But are we operating in a space of forgiveness? Even though we might be tired of the children and their behaviors, are we still ensuring that they still feel like they belong? Even when things are busy, chaotic, annoying, stressful, all those things, okay? So I want to share a couple different things. I want to talk about what culture looks like in the arts classrooms, creative classrooms. And even if you're not an arts educator, you can take some of this stuff back to your spaces. But also I want to talk about how to maintain culture as you close out the year, because it is April. It's almost May, y'all, and most people get out in May. Some of y'all might hold on a little longer for June. I'm praying for y'all. And we're also going to talk about some do's and don'ts, okay? So, what culture looks like in the arts classroom? First of all, it looks like whose dances, music, movements, and art styles are being centered. And that's something that, I've spoken about a lot. Who is being centered in the space and not just perform for a grade? I know I started this conversation during Black History Month because that's usually what tends to happen, that we have a heritage month and all of a sudden we want to now center those cultures in the classrooms. Not saying it's a bad thing, but you can do better. Okay. Also, culture looks like whether students' voice still shapes final projects and showcases. Or is it just a us teacher thing? Are we only adding to the showcase what we have an affinity for? Are we allowing the students to pick the projects or have a voice in what is being presented in the projects and showcase and all of that? Especially because it's not us as the educators, we're not the one presenting this work. It's usually the students. So we should be sharing this responsibility of what happens. Culture also looks think we are still live. Okay. So we just left off on how to maintain culture as you close out the year. I think we're back, y'all. It's okay. Perfection is not real. Perfection is not real. Yep. I think we're good now. All right. Moving forward. So, so we just talked about what culture looks like in the arts classroom. Now we're going to continue this conversation, talk about how do we maintain culture as you close at the end of this school year. So you have to continue to stay consistent with cultural inquiry. Okay, so continue to ask yourself, even in the midst of this busyness, whose stories are we lifting up right now in this moment? Because I know, of course, like I just mentioned, in February, everybody wants to uplift Black folks. Beautiful, thank you. But that still needs to happen, and not just with the Black community, just any community. Whose stories are being lifted up, even right now as you're preparing to close out the year and doing your showcase and the rehearsals and all of that? Whose stories are you sharing in the spaces? You also need to continue to keep honoring student identities when the deadlines loom, when the deadlines are still like taking over. Okay, you still need to honor these babies, these sweethearts that are standing before you. Okay, make the final days all about who they are becoming and not just what are they producing. Are they becoming more creative? Are they becoming more brave? Are they becoming, more confident and more in love with themselves versus, we need to produce this project, this production, this dance. Like, no, in the midst of that creative process and the production, they are becoming someone new and, peeling back some layers that they didn't know that they had. So let's ensure that we are, still maintaining culture as we close out the school year with some of those steps. So let's talk about some do's and don'ts when we're talking about culture. So some do's are: protect the space for cultural expressions, even when you are rushing to finish. Period. Pooh. Still protect the space. We need to invite students to remix, to honor and celebrate their identities in their final work, whatever that looks like. Student choice matters. Okay. We need to also reflect with them, which is one of my favorite things to do, is reflecting with my students. What culture did we build together this year? So what classroom culture did you build together this year? What cultures did you celebrate this year? What did you learn from the various cultures and all that jazz? Don'ts. We just did the do's. Let's get to the don'ts when we're talking about culture, whether it's classroom culture or celebrating the culture of your students. Do not, for the love of the Lord above, do not default back to just only showing Eurocentric things just because it's easier, faster, and that there are more resources for it. Don't do that. Continue to prioritize. Don't continue. Don't prioritize neatness and polish over authenticity. If there is, I'm thinking about from the dance space, if there is an authentic movement that is happening, let that happen versus being like, oh no, you should have this. Like, no, like, let it come out the way it needs to come out. Because that is authentic to that student, right? Don't forget that the cultural memories you affirm now will outlast the grade book, would outlast them being in your space. Okay. All right. Let's continue. So we just talked about culture. We talked about what it is, how to maintain it, and some do's and some don'ts. Now let's talk about one of my favorite things: care. If you know me personally, you know I am a person that like firmly believes in love, kindness, and care. That's just who I am. That's how I'm built. And I love to ensure that is happening in any space that I walk into as much as possible. Like all days like that, no, because I'm human as well. But I love to ensure that anybody that comes in contact with me, and even my team, that they are leaving feeling better than they felt coming into the space or around us, right? So I want you all to understand that care is the structure that holds humanity, and we need some humanity right now. Not gonna go on this political train, but it feels like the humanity is lost in the world right now. So because it feels like that on the outside, we need to ensure that it feels good and care driven in the spaces that we are showing up in. So I want y'all to also understand that care isn't a tone of voice. Okay. Because sometimes you be thinking you're saying something with care and love and you really sound condescending. Check that, boo. It's a structure you hold when everything feels rushed, chaotic, and stretched thin. At the end of the school year, yep, care shows up in the way you handle stress, not just how you talk about it. It's the way you handle it. I think about just here recently, one of my students was just having a time, baby. He was just having a time. And we were actually on the playground just playing. And well, some of the students were playing. And there was just this moment of conflict. That's what happens with fourth grade boys. And he just got really, really upset. But we have such an amazing relationship. And I do know that every now and then I have to be even more care driven with this particular student. Just to get him to see the big picture, right? And we're outside. I had to name, sweetheart, you are not in trouble. We just have to figure out what was the issue and how did it go from this to this, right? And we talked through it. He apologized and the other students apologized and all that jazz. But had I not helped him to handle the stress of the situation, and it was just boys playing, and one of the boys just was like, no, you gotta wait till the next round, and he wasn't feeling it. That was literally it. And he just got totally upset because he felt left out, and he did name that. But that wouldn't have happened if I, as their educator and leader, did not foster this space of safety where we could just talk and not reprimand them just because of what I assumed that it was. Like, no. Was the moment stressful? Yes, because I'm like, Lord have mercy. I just told y'all to stop, right? Very human teacher moment. I just told y'all stop. Like, come on, separate, take turns, all the things, right? But I wanted them to understand what conflict resolution looks like. That anytime a teacher, at least when Ms. Porter calls you over, that it's not always a reprimand or a form of discipline. Sometimes it's just a conversation so we can figure out what's going on. So you have to ensure that you are showing up in care, even when moments are stressful. And if it doesn't come out care driven, be okay with apologizing to the students because we're all human, right? But that is just something that's a value of mine, just operating in care as much as possible. And so what this looks like in the arts classroom, again, this is my favorite structure, pillar, or whatever it is that you want to call it, is protecting emotional check-ins. I'm sorry, I was looking at my notes and the words went weird. Protecting emotional check-ins. Yes. I think I do more emotional check-ins at the end of the school year than at the beginning because we, again, are all stressed out. We're all tired. Allergies are kicking up. As a person who is currently thriving with the autoimmune situation, being transparent, and the kids, just because I created this culture of emotional check-ins, they check in with me just as much as I check in with them, right? Which is so beautiful. But that started because of the culture that I said, as soon as, class starts, before I go into any lesson, most of the time, I use them okay, thumbs up, thumbs down, or sideways. How are you feeling today? And they would tell me, with their thumbs, just because classes are large. So I literally don't have the time to hear everybody's thoughts, but I do want them to feel heard and cared for. And they, if the thumbs up, I oftentimes tell them I hope that your day continues to be a thumbs up type of day. If your thumb is sideways, I hope that your day gets better. And if your day is down or your thumb is down, I am here to support you and whatever you need to turn that thumb from down to at least sideways, let me know. So, just giving them this room of to check in with themselves, to also communicate with me in a nonverbal manner what it is that they're feeling or what it is that they need. I know, so like, okay, does this mean I'm going to let the expectation fall by the wayside? Like, no, you are still here to participate, this and the other. However, I might not call on you as much. You still get called on, but I might not call on you as much because you're not feeling it. And it's okay to not feel it. I mean, you're still gonna do things, but it's okay to not be fully energetic about the situation, right? But they usually get it together. Um, but again, it has to come from these emotional check-ins. We also have to create options for students whose circumstances have shifted, whether it's fatigue. We've had moments where students are just like, I'm exhausted, and they have verbalized, and I'm like, me too. What do we need today? Grief. Life is lifing, even for our young ones. Life is lifing. I even dealt with a student recently who just had a loss in his family. I just happened to be in the hallway, and his teacher was like, help, because she was in the middle of the lesson. He was just so sad or what have you. And, we just took a little walk outside. And I was like, what do you need right now? And he was like, I don't know. And I told him, I was like, well, so we're outside. We can take a moment to breathe. We'll get you back to class in a little bit, but right now you just need a moment. And I said, do you want to scream? He's like, no, that's going to disturb others. I said, okay, I respect that. I said, how about running? And he was like, yeah, I'll do that. He just ran. And of course I did have to eventually take him back to class, but he did go back to the class with, although still sad, a smile on his face. But not just doing that for the students, also doing that for yourself. Even just recently for myself, I had a moment where, I was dealing with grief of a loved one, and I just had to be honest with myself of creating the option. Like, right now, I can't do the lesson that I wanted to do just because it's going to take more energy than I physically have right now. So I have to switch it, So creating options. Even on yesterday, after I proctored a test, and after all the tests were like turned back into who they need to be turned back into, I just told the children, I was like, sweeties, just lay your head down for 2 minutes. Just do that, because you have worked your buns off the whole year, but especially these last 2 weeks. Just rest. That's all I want you to do. Just rest. And they laid their head down for about 3 minutes, because we also was getting prepared for a celebration, so that was going to turn up. But I just think they needed this moment of stillness and to be given the permission to rest and close their eyes for a moment. And if you don't do that, no matter what you teach, make sure you are implementing just these moments of rest, of stillness, because no one's ever still. The world is moving fast. Also, holding space for students to finish at their pace with dignity. Now, we know there are some times where we're going to have to, speed it up or whatever. But depending on what it is, allow students to hold space to finish at their own pace. All right. And don't condemn them. Some people, scholars, artists, just move at different paces, and it's okay. Now, we just talked about what care looks like in the arts classroom. I want to talk about how to maintain care as you close out the school year, period, Pooh. In the arts classroom, please give students the permission to be honest about what they are feeling emotionally, right? Give students the permission to be honest about what they are feeling emotionally, and you'll be honest too. Baby, I've been so honest this past week. I've been so honest this past week. Miss Porter don't feel good. My knees hurt. I'm exhausted. I'm sad. I said that last week to them. I'm like, I'm sad. Yeah. And what it does is, even as a leader and educator, what it does when I share it, it allows them to feel like or understand, well, Miss Porter's feeling this too. If she feels this way, it's okay for me to feel this way. So It's okay to name the things. Give your students permission to come to you and name what they're feeling at this part of the school year. Everybody's stressed out. Everybody's sad. Okay. So, as I mentioned earlier, like build flexible creative options for final projects, whether it's movements, visuals, journaling, whatever it is that you all are doing, just provide some flexibility. Also, use affirmations. We listen to affirmations a lot, honey. And just celebration routines and rituals, just fun things. Add more fun. We're at the end. Add more fun. Even when things get busy, like a little small dance parties or jam sessions or whatever it is that it is that you do that. So let's talk about some do's and don'ts when it comes to care in the arts and in the arts classrooms. Do normalize checking in on wellness, point blank period, for your colleagues, for your students. The next one, make space for students to finish whatever it is that they're doing with care and not prioritize this spirit of perfection. Okay, they do enough of that in their core classrooms. Let your students feel seen for who they are right now today, not just what they did early in the year. One thing that I even have to be careful about is saying, like, it's April. You should know da 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 da. You know these things, which they do, but they're also children or whatever grade level that you think about or teach. Let's honor who they are today. Okay, today just might be a bad day. Now, here's some don'ts. Don't treat end of year pressure as a reason to abandon your emotional agreements. Okay, if your thing is to check in with your students, check in with your students. There's no excuse. But that's always been your thing all year. Don't stop today. Don't only reward students who are pushing through. Those students who are struggling with emotional regulation and all those different things, they deserve love too. They deserve I won't necessarily say reward, but they deserve to be supported even when they're not showing up as their best selves. Okay. Yeah, those are the main two don'ts that I'm gonna say are important to me. Okay. So let's talk about the last pillar of today, collective joy, another favorite thing. Clearly, cheese. So collective joy, let's talk about what it is first. So collective joy is the permission to celebrate becoming. What are these sweethearts becoming by the end of the school year? Not just better dancers, they're becoming better people. Not just better visual artists, they're becoming more creative. Like what are they becoming by the end of the school year? So joy is not something you earn just because you behave perfectly. What? I'm quite sure some people think like that. Joy is a practice that you, as the educator, protect even when everybody's tired and everything feels rushed. At the end of the school year, collective joy is the thing that reminds students the work that I do here, what I do in this room is not just about the grades. It's about what I feel, how I belong, and who I'm becoming. Okay? So let's talk about what joy looks like in the arts classrooms. One of my favorite things is protecting the space for open creation, improv, play. Students don't play enough in the American school system. They don't create loosely in the American not loosely, but they don't create as freely. That's the word I'm looking for in the American school system because everything is so structured. Okay. Everything's so structured all the time. So what I would love for you all to do as arts educators is to ensure that you are protecting space or moments. Like you might not have to do a whole class like this, but protecting moments that offer just open creation, improvisation, play, exploration, all those different things, just open moments of that. And let it be okay that it's not a final product at the end. Let it be okay. The other thing is, another way that joy looks like in the arts classroom is allowing students just to be messy. We don't like that. Allowing students to be messy, imperfect, unfinished, just those things across their creative journey. Closing the community, closing the year with community and not isolation. Isolation tends to happen, um, again, because we're focused on the product at the end of the school year. So continue to figure out ways to close the year with community. This is how we maintain joy at the end of the school year. Hold a like creative process celebration where students can share their growth and the things that they learned. Also allow for storytelling. Please allow for laughter and reflection as a part of their closeout checklist, if you will, a part of their closeout assignment. Ensure that they are getting a chance just to tell their stories, okay? And of course, create rituals. Well, and some of these rituals probably have rituals, routines, depends on how you want to say the word. But some of the things probably were created at the beginning of the school year. Again, continue to showcase those at the end. They look like affirmation circles. It looks like freestyles. It looks like dance circles. Whatever it is that you teach. Again, I speak from the dance space. Allow those moments of joy to just do it. I taught the kids how to swag surf the other day, and it was life. Okay. But it was joyful because we were all laughing. I was hurting though, but we were all laughing, and it was just fun just to see them bounce around and all of that. So here are your do's and here are your don'ts. Do celebrate risk, taking risk, because being creative takes risk, growth, and resilience. Sometimes you got to bounce back. Celebrate that. Also, ensure that you are making space for students to name their own successes. What did they do that was so great? Let them name it. We can name it all day long, but what was success for them? What does that look like for them? Also, continue to protect joy, even if you exhausted, they are exhausted, this, that, and the other. Here are the don'ts. Don't tie joy to achievement or this like polished situation. Don't tie celebrations as an option. Celebration should not be optional. Celebrate whatever that looks like for you. Also, don't rush, which seems to happen at the end of the school year, your closing routines or closing rituals and all of that just to get it done. Create space. As y'all know, I love a good quote and I love a good book, but Dr. Bettina Love says, if you don't see the joy, you're not seeing the resistance. Okay. So ensure you are, showcasing that joy. All right. So as we are coming to a close on this here live, thank you for staying with me. If you hung out with me this whole time, is how we end matters. How we end matters. Because the end isn't just about closure. It's seeding what's going to bloom next. You're planting little seeds in these sweethearts. When the stage lights turn off, when the last painting is taken down, what stays with our students is not the perfect things that we taught them, the dances, the plies, the brush strokes, the drawings, all of that. What stays with them is the culture they breathed inside of your classroom, the community culture, the care that was presented to them, especially on the days that were hard, the joy that kept them flowing every single day. That's what they're going to remember. That's what's going to pop up in their memories as they're talking about their favorite teacher and favorite class at, when they're 80, right? So anywho, if you are ready for more tools, community, reflections, and all these different things to continue supporting you in creating a care-driven, literacy-infused arts classroom, be sure that you are joining my email list, okay? Let me pull it up here on this space. I thought it was up there. There we go. Make sure you are a part of the community, a part of the fam bam, the Cultivated Collective, y'all. So if you're watching the replay, first hashtag replay, so I know that you caught the replay, but also share with us, which pillar are you protecting as you close out the end of the school year? Are you protecting culture? Are you protecting care or collective joy, or a little bit of all three? Okay. Thank you for continuing to make your art space a beautiful space where students are just like performing. They are just becoming great masterpieces themselves. I will chat with y'all later. This is the final live from our live series. I will see you on Instagram and all the other platforms and in the email. Holler at y'all later. Bye.